Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. After only a year of marriage, Pavel Ythjall found himself staring into the eyes of a neurosurgeon who told him point blank, "Your wife will be paralyzed, neck down for life." At the time, Pavel had a broken neck too, and his vertebrae were supported by a halo screwed directly into his skull. A tragic accident on the way to a Christmas party had changed their lives forever. They had no family to help them, and the doctor predicted that Kat would find a way to kill herself despite the paralysis. As reality sank in, everyone thought Pavel would leave her, but he was their only hope of discovering a new way to move forward together. A beautiful, heart-wrenching story of trauma, love, grace, and the ultimate meaning of life, True Love and Suffering was born from the global movement around Pavel and Kat's incredible journey. Join thousands around the world who have discovered their own strength, resilience, and hope for true love through the inspiring lives of these two heroes. And you guys, that is the description of the book, True Love and Suffering, a caretaker's memoir of trauma, despair, and other blessings by today's guest, Pavel Ythjall. So let's just dive right into the interview with Pavel. Yeah, so I've been really excited to chat with you and have you come onto the podcast. I mean, I've been following you for a number of years, actually trained under Fighterdiet for a little while there. So I am familiar with you, but I'm not familiar with your story. And you have so much that has happened over the past few years. But could you share with our listeners like who you are and what you do? Maybe we'll start there.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. And thank you so much for having me aboard here. My name is Pavel, and I think you've been a part of my ex-wife Pauline's Fighterdiet challenges. She has a company called Fighterdiet, and we host challenges for women and host about 10,000 people a year. Teach them how to eat and eat and train right, so to speak. That's my part of Fighterdiet was as CEO. The part that I think you want to talk about today is me and my wife, Kat. 7 years ago, actually, it's sort of sentimental because it's almost 7 years ago to the date. In December, 7 years ago, we went through a terrible, terrible accident. And many people do. What was special with our accident in that sense is that she broke her neck and I broke my neck. So, and we were newlyweds. So 1 year into our marriage, we both break our necks. She becomes paralyzed, neck down. I was actually worse off as I broke my C1, which is the vertebrae that controls the breathing. So even though I'm lucky now and I'm able to move, it was just a terrible situation. I can take you back to that night if you want to, or if you want to dive into something else.
Yeah, no, I mean, tell us about that night. I mean, first of all, I mean, I read about it in your book, True Love and Suffering. When did this book come out?
It came out 1 year ago, exactly, actually.
Okay, and so you definitely discuss that in your book, but you're also working on a documentary, right?
Yes, the documentary is actually being sound mixed at Sony Studios as we speak. So excited about that.
Okay, so maybe just give our listeners an overview of the accident and what happened that night.
Yeah, it all started. This whole me. I was a photographer, shooting for the biggest, best magazines in America, and my cat, my wife, was a major in the Air Force. So we were both on an upward trajectory in our careers. Kat comes from a tough background where she was raped multiple times by multiple men, even by her mom's husband or boyfriend. So she's went through a lot of trauma. I come from a better background, but it was very cold. A background where my stepdad was a psychologist, actually, but he was malicious. He was mean, manipulative, as only a psychologist can be. He really played out all those emotions. So we were both looking for warmth. We were both looking for family. And I think we put all our energy into our careers and we both advanced. And when we found each other, it just exploded because we found what we always looked for. It wasn't even, how should I put this? It wasn't even that sexual. It was just us hugging, just being together. So once we found each other, we were just inseparable. And it was bliss. So we had 1 year Kat often says I had 1 year of bliss in my life, and that was the year after we met. And to make a long story a little shorter, it was we were 1 year in, we were happy, careers were good. We were going to a Christmas party in Laguna Beach, a really affluent area down in here in California, meeting all our friends and family. I have a Range Rover. I'm happy with that, and I drive up onto the highway, and with no warning whatsoever, like no, it just says boom, and everything stops. The car shakes, and I try to control it, and I no one knows what happens. It just shakes and would drift off towards the end of the road. We hit one of those big street signs where it says Laguna Beach 20 miles, and the cart starts to roll. The last thing I remember is my head hitting the windshield, and that's where I break my neck. And I think this is going to hurt. Then we roll 3, 4 times, and I wake up upside down with blood just pouring down my face. I look over at Kat, and she said, "I've broken my arms. Go and get help. I've broken my arms. Go and get help." Very, very. She's very clear. She's very, very tight. Very precise. All Air Force. I fall out of the car. Actually, fall. I should have broken my neck again, so to speak. I should have died at that point. But my head is filling up with blood, and I'm so confused. I'm so shooken up. So I can't find my phone. I don't even know how a phone looks like. So again, Kat is like, go and get help. Go and get help. So since I can't find my phone, I walked slowly toward by the 405 by the highway, and I wave my arms, and like I'm hoping someone will stop, right? Wave, 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 all while I'm just dizzy and blood is pissing everywhere, and no one stops. So, so that's the point, right, where you decide, like, okay, is Cat willing? Is this? Am I willing to die for this? And I was. So I walk out on the 405, out on the freaking highway. So the cars is swerving by me, and I'm waving, but no one is stopping. So I feel I'm fading, and I just want to lay down, just like in the movies. That's exactly how it is. You feel how you're fading. You feel your energy going, and you know, like it's just a matter of time before you have no more energy. And at that point, someone just appears. This is a guy. It's a rag doll, literally a rag doll with a blanket over him. To this day, I don't know if he was real or not. But to me, at that point, he is real. He's asking me if I want help, and I said yes. Call 911. Call 911. And he walks away. And a little bit after, I hear the sirens, and so they come, put me in an ambulance, and then they have to use cutters and stuff to get Cat out. But yeah, so that's the background. And we were wheeled into the trauma room, and the neurosurgeon, I guess that is pivotal to the story. In the trauma room, where the ambulance brings us, the neurosurgeon comes up to me and looks like above me and looks down on me and says, "You have to be strong. Your wife's going to be paralyzed neck down for life." And it's funny because me and the neurosurgeon, who have become really good friends, we argue a little bit about if she said that or not, but she did, and that saved me. That's what saved me, and that's what, in a way, saved Kat, because didn't have time to, I didn't get time to feel sorry for myself. I didn't get time to heal either, but that's a different story. But so I started repeating, I have to be strong for Kat. I have to be strong for Kat. And I did that 3 days and 3 nights and never stopped. So I said that 4,000 times. So I just started programming myself. I just right off the bat program my mind, like, this is what I have to do. Like, this is what you have to do. And that worked. And I think I still do. I think I still say that. And
Wow.
I'm rambling here now,
No,
but
no,
yeah.
I'm so glad you're sharing your story. I mean, like I said, I've read this in the book, so I'm glad that you're open to sharing this on this episode, because I think that people need to hear, what you guys have been through, and how it started. And so, I mean, I know I've read the book, I've said that, so I kind of know what happens next. But yeah, I mean, so you're telling yourself over and over again, I have to be strong for Cat, and you program that into your brain. So what happens once after those 3 days were over? Like, what was going on for you?
I think, yeah, that's a good question, Lisa. What was going on is that I got a halo put on my head after 3 days. So I broke the C1, and I broke the condylites. It's basically everything that attaches your head to your vertebrae. So my head was like a rag doll. It was just like bobbing head, but it wasn't. how should I put this? It wasn't bad enough for them to go in to do surgery because I was still, everything was still aligned. So they put metal construction, it's called a halo, where they, so after 3 days, Dr. Farron again comes in and she takes my hands and she says, be brave. And this little, she's this little Lebanese woman with dark eyes looking straight at you. And this is, be brave. So I take her hands and they put this metal halo with screws this long and they drill them right into my skull while I'm awake. So normally this is done under anesthesia. And then this halo metal construction fixates my head to my body. So that's what physically happened after 3 days. What happened mentally is that I was angry at the world. I was so angry. I mean, I was cursing and screaming and yelling and making deals with God and the devil and everyone just to like turn back time. I mean, it was, I get goosebumps now, but it's so scary to realize that the world does not care about you. The universe will just keep going, like the world will keep spinning. And I think about this, it's to talking about COVID, like they say we have 1 million deaths in America with COVID, and it's like it never happened in the main consciousness of people. It never happened. Like we just move on, and that's how it's for me in a personal level. That week was fire and brimstone. I can't explain that in other way. I was walking through hell every day because I think my mind was trying to decide what to do with this. Like how am I going to what's my position on this, on everything for the rest of my life? And so it was either like dive down to hell or was go up or, but after 1 week, it took 1 week exactly. I decided that this was an accident, which it was. And I couldn't have done anything to prevent it. And I gave myself, I wouldn't say the out, but I gave myself permission to move on, I guess. It sounds a little cliche, but that's what happened. It's like I told myself, it's all right. All right, let's just move on now.
Right. Yeah. It's so after a week, you came to that conclusion that you were going to move on. So over the past 7 years, has it been that? I mean, this is kind of a silly question because I'm guessing it hasn't been easy, but have you had moments where you're like, you get angry, you are sad, those feelings come back?
Yeah. So I have not got like that first week was special. I mean, it was really fire and brimstone. I have not gotten that angry anymore over that. But yes, like I want to rephrase it for me, like the trauma is always there. Like it always sits on your shoulder and it's trying to like it teases with you. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? Okay. Can you deal with it? Can you deal with it? But and it's special for me because, and I say this with just take it the right way, but it's worse in one way because my wife is alive. Like I get to wake up every day to see this brave woman paralyzed, neck down, which is effing imaginable to deal with. And she has neuropain daily, and neuropain is, to explain it, it's like having second-degree burns all the time. Second-degree burns just sizzling in your skin. And you can't sleep because every 3 hours they're going to wake you up to do a catheter. And every 4 hours they're going to wake you up to turn you. Otherwise, you get bed sores. And bed sores actually kill most paralyzed people, believe it or not, because they're so hard to heal. So, so I get to wake up to this reality and I have to deal with it every day. So every day I have to take this decision like that this is okay or I'm strong enough to deal with it. So I forget if I answered your question or
Oh
not, but
no, yeah, you did.
that is the daily battle.
Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh. So so it sounds like, what is life for you guys like now?
paradoxically enough, it's fantastic. So it's yeah, it's one right now. It's wonderful. It took, I want to say it took a good 5-6 years to reach that level, and luckily enough, both Kath and I are we're strong people in our minds. I think that's why we're here today, physically too. But I think it's mostly the mind that made that happen. But us at this point, I want to say we're happier than ever. We 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 created a life for us based on these new circumstances that actually work for us. We have 4 little Yorkie dogs that demand love, like and that's good. You know, you're accountable to them all the time, and you have to feed them, give them water, and walk them, and love them, and love them, and love them again. Kat has a new job. She works for Space Force. Yeah. So she sits with a stick, which is her one finger, and using her voice with three monitors, and actually controls a lot of Space Force operations, which is very cool. I'm back at it again. I've started filming again, doing the documentary with the book. So all things considered, we're doing really well. But I do say all things considered because there's always this little the little devil on the shoulder saying this wasn't supposed to be this way.
Okay, so you've got a website and you're ready to market your private practice to the world. However, when you look at the analytics, if you even have them, you can see that people just aren't showing up to the website. So you wonder, how can I get more clients if no one even knows I exist? And after doing a bit of research and talking to colleagues, you learn that SEO, also known as search engine optimization, is what you need to do in order to attract traffic to your website and create a steady flow of new clients in your business. So you start learning what you can about optimizing your website through YouTube, podcasts, and blog posts. And that's when the confusion really sets in, right? Which keywords should I use? Where exactly do I put them? What content do I need on my site? And how do I even write the stuff so Google finds it? And after some time, you've pieced some of this SEO stuff together, but you're not entirely sure whether you've done it right, missed a step, or even if you're on the right track. You're kind of just doing what everyone is suggesting, but you're not sure how it all fits together. And you're left wondering if clients will ever be able to find you and whether getting new clients from Google each month, it might just be a pipe dream. If any of this sounds familiar to you, and it does to me, I wanted to let you know about an opportunity that my good friend Daniel Fava from Private Practice Elevation has put together. After working with scores of clients on their SEO strategy and understanding how confusing SEO can be when learning it on your own, he's decided to teach private practice owners the exact same process he and his team use to get more visibility for their clients. So Daniel has put together the SEO Basecamp Live 9-week small group training that consists of video training and live implementation classes. And over the course of 9 weeks, he will give you access to the exact SEO process that he uses at Private Practice Elevation to help their clients set up the foundational SEO elements that will get them more organic traffic and clients. You'll get to follow along as he creates an SEO strategy as a real life example, his wife's own private practice website. And each week you'll have a lesson to watch based on one aspect of improving your online visibility. And with each lesson, you'll receive the resources, templates, and homework to start implementing what you've learned. Then you'll meet as a group for an implementation call to clear any roadblocks, answer questions that may come up, get feedback on your progress, and hold each other accountable. So this class will be limited to just 12 people so that you can work closely together and make sure you get the attention and results that make an impact on your business. So if you've been wanting to add more organic traffic and clients to your business, now is a great time to join. And if you want a roadmap that shows you where your SEO stands right now and how to get to where you want it to be, this is it. Enrollment in this round of SEO Basecamp Live begins on January 30th and ends Sunday, February 5th at midnight. Be sure to click on the link in the show notes to go ahead and grab one of the 12 spots available. Right. Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Over the years, and mainly because I'm curious about majority of my listeners are, therapists. Have you had, what kind of support have you had around you guys for, people for you to lean on and to help you cope?
Yeah, that's a good question. I could talk hours about this. Okay, so there's good things and there's bad things. The bad things are like in the hospital, most doctors told me, never say you understand because you don't. Like never. And that comes back with therapists too, in the sense that, like with my neurosurgeon, Dr. Farron, when I came back and saw her 1 year after the accident, and Kat was there, she leaned over to me and whispered, she said, I never thought she would make it. And that goes for everyone I talked to. Everyone I talked to thought we would kill ourselves, like perish in one way or another. So there was this support, but I wouldn't say it was fake, obviously not, but there was this belief that we wouldn't make it. So that's one thing, which is it's tough. The second thing is, I don't know if you can, like, it's, if you haven't experienced it, I don't know if you can think like empathize enough with it because it's hell. I mean, and I'm not trying to don't feel sorry for me or anything like that, but it's just so Kat sees a therapist, and she's actually she's doing her second practicums to be a family therapist herself. Yeah, she's a firecracker. So she's almost family therapist herself, but she also sees a therapist, and I don't. So I see this as therapy. Writing the book was obviously great therapy. Doing a documentary about the heroes in my book is a therapy, and but I'm also scared. I'm scared to dwell too much because I don't have the time. Like I'm the people are cat people. I'm counting on 24/7 to be there. Like I don't even have time to be sick. I just don't have time, and that's the caregiver dilemma because you like I made myself like a powerhouse, and is I don't mean to speak myself up or anything like that, but I just mentally I dare anyone to deal to deal with me, and physically I'm as strong as ever because I have to be because I have to take care of Cat. It's not that we don't have support, but I'm the main support, so to speak. So I'm a little scared if that answers the question. Because who doesn't want to dive into everything that happened? Of course I want to, but I don't want to open that black hole too much. Because what if I don't come up? Who's going to take care of Cat then? And yeah, so the way I figure it is there'll be enough time for that. So
Yeah, and I'm going to use the word that I understand because I do understand what you mean when you talk about not wanting to open up the black hole. Like I do understand that. And I think you're right. I mean, that's what I hear from a lot of caregivers when they, finally have the I guess the permission maybe to go talk to somebody, and not permission from the person that you're taking care of, but it's like this internal permission that you finally give yourself to go and talk about it. Yeah, so how do you cope with the feelings when you have them? Like, what do? You work out?
yeah, it's like so here's the deal. I battle with my wife, Kat. I told Kat like this. So I give myself permission to fight with her. Like I see her as an everyday person, like you. Like she's smart. Like she's almost a therapist, like a licensed therapist. She's worked for Space Force. She's A-type personality. So I argue with her like I would argue with any other person. I don't see the physical hindrance at all. So I tell her that, like, I'll help you 100%, but I'm gonna get my 2 workouts in per day. Otherwise, I can't help you. And I'm gonna like listen to my podcasts. I need that time. So that is my therapy. That's how I treat myself. And it fails if I don't work out, if I don't listen to my podcast, if I don't educate myself, it fails. I mean, if I miss it 2 days, I feel myself just fading in energy levels and responsibility.
Yeah.
So
Kind of reminded me like energy begets energy. Like that's the force within you that gives you more energy to tackle what you need to tackle as her caregiver. So yeah, and you sounds like you have your way of recharging and re-energizing, and that works for you. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, thankfully you give yourself that because a lot of caregivers won't even do that for themselves.
yeah, no, we have caregivers. We care not like 19 hours out of the day. We have other caregivers, and then I cover 5 hours, but I'm there all the time covering too. And we see them the night, especially night shift. Like they don't last. It's too rough on the body to be awake all night, which they have to do. I just so I don't forget. There is such, and I would really want to emphasize this. There is such a blessing in being a caregiver. There is a blessing in responsibility that you will never get anywhere else. I wish this never happened to us, but um I usually say this: if it was just me, not Cat, if it's just happened to me with my broken neck, I stroked out after they took off the halos. I couldn't speak. I couldn't text. Both my arms got dust out of their socket. I mean, everything happened to me. But if it was just me, I wouldn't have it any other way. Because going through trauma really, really innately brings out who you are. Like if you don't know who you are, you go through some deep trauma and you'll find out. You'll find out who you are and what you think and so forth. And for me, finding out who I am and finding out how strong I am and using that strength to help other people physically and mentally and with the book and everything has been the greatest gift ever. It really has. I mean, Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, whatever you want to talk about religion, but giving and helping sort of unifies us all. And for me, up until this point, it was just like blah blah blah. But when you experience it, it's just wow, divine. Really is divine. And I'm not a believer, but it's giving is just it's divine. There's nothing else. So mentally, yeah, mentally, once I passed that threshold, because in the beginning I didn't want to be a caregiver. I told Kat in a room in front of 10 people. I mean, people from the Air Force, therapists, shrinks, everything. I told them I don't want to be a caregiver. And Kat died because I was the only support system she had. But I wasn't in the mindset. I was, yeah, it was weird. I was fighting for her, but I still didn't want to be a caregiver. So, but then once I made the switch, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can't understand that and I can't imagine. I can relate to helping and giving and supporting. Yeah. I'm just kind of thinking about, where that resonates for me. What else should we know about your story and so far where you've been and where you're going, I guess?
I think you should definitely know that. So the reason why I told myself to be strong for Kat is because we loved each other. And why did we love each other? Well, we were looking for warmth and we found it. But it's also what it's more imperative for me is that she made me a better man. Like before the accident, she made me adventurous. She made me see life. And I owe her everything for that. And I realized that early on. I was like, oh God, this is it. I've been missing this. So I contribute a lot to her as a person. She's such a giving person. And it comes back to giving again. As when she grew up as a little child without a dad, with stepdads that raped her, with no money, literally living in the favelas, but in Belize, she was living off stuff that tourists gave her. So she became a giver herself after having stuff gifted to her, and that made me a better man. And then we were in an accident, and then it made me help her. So it's just a spiral of good. I can't emphasize that enough because in today's world where everyone just thinks about themselves and it's just so much negativity and rage out there. I really love what you do, and I hopefully I'm like be a force for good. Get
Yeah,
put that out there
sure.
because yeah,
Well, I definitely believe your book is a force of good and it is going to help a lot of people on a lot of different types of people. There's people like me who are interested in what caregivers and survivors go through, and then there's people who are going through it themselves, and they need somebody that says, "Hey, I understand you and I get you." And then there's just people who love a true love story. I mean, it's like there's a lot of different angles that you can view this book through. It's really wonderful. And when the documentary comes out, man, I mean, that's going to be something else.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be. Sorry for interrupting, but I wanted to be as honest as I possibly could, and so that was the tough part about writing the book because I knew I was going to hurt a lot of people, but I've realized that if I'm not honest, it's not going to resonate. So, for instance, I asked after the accident, none of my family came over from Sweden, my native country, to help. None. They wanted no part of it. So that's and my mom 6 years later. It took her 6 years. She wrote an email and apologized and said it was her biggest mistake of her life. But so yeah, so it's not only because it's not only that we find out how strong we are, people also find out how weak they are, or they also find out what loyalty is and what family means, and or what it doesn't mean. So what was remarkable in our story is that the Air Force and complete strangers took the role as family, because Cat family wasn't able to help that much either. But that's a different story because they were not that well off and kind of stuck in Belize. But my family were in a position to help, but they didn't. So for us, having complete strangers reading about our story on Facebook, hitting us up and coming to help it was a miracle. And we're trying to repay it. And that's what I'm trying to do with the documentary and coming feature film, is to repay the love. So yeah, it's from a therapist point of view also, you really get to see humanity and in it at its worst and at its best. But it's interesting, there's a lot of at its worst out there. It's not it's not self-evident that people will help you at all, especially family. So that was it was tough in the way that I had to almost like rewrite your own identity, sort of like because you like you believe you're one person with this kind of support, and when then you discover that you don't have it, you're like, wait, I thought the world was this way. It's supposed to be this way, and then it's not. So the world comes crashing on you. You know, like your mom is it's not worth anything anymore. It's just, and then you can discuss why she is as she is and so forth. And I've forgiven her. It's not that, you know, I'm not angry with her, but at the same time, she let me be or let me die or let me handle it on my own. So yeah, that's interesting.
It is. Yeah, it is. And she has her reasons, I guess, for not coming or being apart. I mean, as a mother myself, I just can't imagine, but I mean, I can't judge what like, I would never judge your mom. I would want to understand, I guess, but no, you're right. Like, I mean, I never really thought about it like that. You assume your family's going to be there because they're your family, and you hope they're going to be there because they're your family. But yeah, in a crisis or in a trauma, people, they do show their true colors, and you don't know what people are made of until, like you said, trauma.
Yeah. And I've heard this from other, I mean, I spend a lot of time with other trauma victims and especially at Next Step, which is an organization for paralyzed people. Turns out that over 6 billion people in America have some sort of paralysis. And there's very few resources. And Next Step is one organization that tries to provide rehab for them. So I spend a lot of time with them. And my story is not unusual, which really scares me too. It's very common, actually, that the close family steps aside and don't want any part of it. It's more common in, and I'm not putting any ethnic or racial bias on this, but it's more common in the Latin communities to help. And this here I am being quite frank because it comes from the neurosurgeon. There's two things. Most men leave their wives when something like this happens. They don't want to help out. Most women stay and help their men. Most poor people will help out. Most rich people will not. Yeah, and this comes from a neurosurgeon who sees 6,000 patients a year. So it says something about people, humanity, society, which is not always very pretty. So, and I've come to see it with my own eyes. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, I had no idea that was, I guess, the statistics or the information that was out there around that. So, what can people do to help? If you're listening and you're like, "Well, I don't want to be that person that doesn't help." What is something that would be useful for um, paralysis victims or survivors, I should say, not victims. What do you think?
I think like in a larger perspective, I think it's just be good to people. It sounds cliche, but like in a larger perspective, really take your time and just be kind, to be honest. Um it really is that is the essence, that is the glue, you know, because that's you don't have to like do that much, but if you have time to just sit with someone and listen, like I'm sure you're aware, that often gives more help and more comfort than anything else. Just having someone who will actually sit there and just listen. Not don't listen to talk, don't listen to help, just sit there. Because that's what people did for Kat. When in the beginning she couldn't talk because she had a trach in her throat. So she wasn't even able to talk, but people just sat there next to her bedside. So she felt that she had someone next to her. And the first week in the ICU for me, I had a he's called Matusz. He's a Slovakian, super very large, muscular bodybuilder kind of guy. He came and visited, and I could speak. So I told him to just put your hand on the railing, and I just held his hand. Like it's all you want. Like you just want a little. You want a touch, or you just want the presence of someone else. And we'll all feel that at one point or the other. Probably when we get older and our time's up, or when we're sick, right? Even I think when you're sick right now, you probably long for your husband or wife or children, or you long for that someone just to see you, to be there. So that's what people can do, and at their own level. Like if it's your friend, do it with your friend. And if you want to be more proactive, you can actually search out something. There's so many different groups and places to be. So yeah, and it's not. It sounds cliche, but it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's really about connection. Especially in this world where we're all digital, it's really about that human connection that will heal and help. So, and I'm sure you and your listeners are aware.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, it's a shame that we're 3,000 miles apart. It would be great if we could be doing this in person and, doing it face to face, but the blessing and curse of technology. There's so many good things, but at the same time, I don't know, I said that earlier when we were first getting started.
Hopefully we can meet sometime, and
Yeah,
hopefully
I hope
I
so.
can meet my wife and we can redo it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be great. Well, I feel like I know you guys so well because you've written this book from I wasn't expecting it to be it feels almost like journal entry, when you're writing this book. That's how it reads. I feel like I'm reading your journal and it feels very intimate and very like just really intimate, So
I think you're right on. You're smart. You're right on point. The basis of the book is more or less a journal. It's the basis. I took it from my Facebook posts, and if my Facebook posts were the ones that attracted people to help us, and so those posts became the bricks for what later became the book, so to speak. And so I pasted it in, and then I sort of elaborated. So then there was also a trick to it. I won't lie. I researched what authors do, and I'm scared to death to bore anyone. So I wanted it to be short and sweet chapters. So I made the chapters a little short just to keep people's attention because in today's world, people have short attention spans. So
and you're writing it in your second language, I'm guessing too. Was that hard?
yeah,
Was that
true. It's well, I've been in America for 14 years now,
okay?
so I may not sound American, but I feel like no, it wasn't. It wasn't all right. It was all right.
Okay.
It was all right.
Well, that's cool. And so if people wanna purchase the book, they can buy it on Amazon, I'm guessing?
Yeah,
Anywhere?
Amazon is
Okay.
this. Yeah, Amazon is the place to buy it. So you search my name or search True Love and Suffering, and
Mhm.
and it, and it pops up
Okay,
there.
yeah, we'll
Yeah.
put a link in the show notes for people to just link on over to it. And then when do you think the documentary is gonna be done?
February, end
Okay.
of February, we're going to have like an intimate premiere for all the people involved at a cinema here in Los Angeles. And then hopefully one of the streamers will pick it up. So, and just a few words about the documentary. It's really I owe so many people so much. Like I wouldn't be here if they didn't help us. So it's my love letter to the people that helped us. So I try to film them all, and obviously that was impossible. But I picked a few good ones and try to give their story. And it turns out that a lot of these people, two things that came out from this, and there's no judgment or nor it's just completely objective. A lot of the people that helped us are actually believers, from the neurosurgeon to her assistant to a lot of other people. So that's what it is. And then a lot of them have gone through trauma themselves. A lot of them have gone through really, really tough stuff growing up. So it seems like trauma brings up the empathy level in you. Like I was a kind guy before the accident, but I didn't go out of my way to help anyone in that sense. I had empathy, but after the trauma, it's like the empathy level goes up to 100 because you can see other people. And I'm sure that's what you and your listeners do well as we're therapists because you can see it. And I feel like, boom, you're up at that level where you can feel their pain. I mean, literally physically feel their pain. And that makes you a good person to help. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I look forward to, when it comes out, and I hope it gets picked up by, a streamer. That would be so exciting. And just did you have a lot to do with the director? Like, were you in there directing, producing? Like, what role did you play in the documentary?
Yeah, yeah. My role was directing, but the most exciting thing, Lisa, is not the documentary; it's the feature film. So throughout this year, we have worked on a screenplay adaptation of the book. So me and Anna Beal, who's a screenplay writer, we have worked together for 1 year. So we have a finished screenplay, and it's based on the book. So starting January, we're going to start shop that around with Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and Paramount and production companies. So God willing, or the universe willing, we'll scrape together enough money, and we'll be able to go into pre-production next year. Because I do, not to toot my own horn, but it is a special love story, and that it has a happy ending, and it has some teachable lessons. So I'd love to make it into a feature film for everyone to see. So that's the real goal, actually.
Wow. Well, that's exciting. I guess I kind of forgot about the feature film. Maybe you mentioned that and I didn't pick up on it, but that's really cool. I mean, and you live in LA, so I mean, I hope you got you got the connections to get that, screenplay floated around. And if anybody's listening who happens to be in that world, let's help them out. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
No, I thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, and thank you so much for the opportunity to spread some good. So I see that as my purpose now is just to spread some good, help people, help people, because other people helped us. So
Well, I really appreciate your mission and sharing your story. And I wish you and Kat, much love and happiness, in the future. So thanks for being here. So great. Hey guys, before we end this episode, if you are liking my content, if you're liking my podcast, be sure to go over and leave me a 5-star review on the podcast platform of your choice. And if you are up for it, I'd love it if you left me a review as well. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine.
Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content.
And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.